Well, good evening, everybody. We are a crew of, there's 4 of us in this room right now. And I just ran Pro Presenter for the first time in the history of Hope City Church. And so if you have whiplash in your worship tonight,
I would love for you to just give a shout out to our worship director, Becca. She has just been a champ over the past several weeks, now months, of just leading us in worship every week. And I tell her all the time, there's something unique about her voice. I just tell her she has a healing voice. It's very soothing. And I'm just so grateful how she has literally ushered us into the throne of God. So thank you for joining us tonight. Justin and I are super excited. I know on Friday, if you saw our post, we said that we would be chatting tonight about all the things, next steps. I did not realize how hard it would be to wait.
I know.
To have this conversation.
I know. How many text messages we would get, how many emails, how many conversations we'd have. Man, so much has changed over the last 2 months, and so much is getting ready to change over the next 2 months as we look at what re-entry into our life looks like post-COVID-19. And one of the things that Trisha and I have realized is you guys have done such a phenomenal job of adjusting, and you guys have, those of you that call Hope City home, you have done such an amazing job engaging online and being a part of a brand new online campus. We were in this building for 8 weeks. We've now been out of this building for 9 weeks. And so there's just been a lot of crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, just the amount of transition that we've had to endure. And so one of the things that we have realized as we have put together what we hope to be a plan for the next month or so as a church is we cannot guarantee certainty, but what we want to do tonight is we want to provide clarity. Yeah. And as your leaders, as your pastors, that song, I have chills just thinking about the song that we just sang, because you don't want to sing a song like that unless you're willing to go out on the waves, right? Like you don't want, we sing all of these songs that talk about building faith. We sing all these songs that talk about growing in our relationship with God. But when you pray prayers of God, please make me brave, call me out onto the waves, you know what God does? He does that. Right? He puts you on the wave, and you either are going to sink or you're going to become brave. And so we just wanted to spend the next few moments sharing with you what it looks like to have a plan in place, and this is going to be adjustable. But before we share information with you, on our Facebook page, and this is going to go out in email, but if you want to get a head start, on our Facebook page, Sarah Ackerman, our creative director, is getting ready to put into the comments there a survey that we want to hear from you. It's a 10-question survey. It'll probably take you about 1.5 to 2 minutes to take it. It's anonymous so that you can actually be honest. We made it anonymous. But it's going to help formulate our plan moving beyond what we're going to share with you tonight. It's going to gauge your emotions. It's going to gauge your perspective. It's going to allow you to share with us how you're feeling in the midst of this pandemic. And so please take a minute to not just listen to us, but also give us your feedback. And so over the last couple of weeks, as we've been talking, we've been meeting with our operations team, we've been meeting with our staff, and we've been meeting with a group of about 15 influential churches here in the city of Indianapolis, trying to formulate a plan of what going back into the building looks like. There have been 3 principles that have guided our discussion and are guiding our next steps as a church as we look to have in-person services in the future. And the first principle is this: Hope City has never been closed, and we're actually more open now than we ever have been. Just to give you some perspective, pre-COVID-19, we had a huge bump in growth when we moved into our new facility in January. Those of you that have been around Hope City a while, you know that we did a direct mail campaign. We had a grand opening for our new location set for March 15th. And you know what we did on March 15th? Shut her down, all right? We didn't have church, all right? We grand closed it. It was a grand closing. It was the greatest closing of all time. It was just, it was amazing, all right?
It was the grand opening of our internet campus.
Exactly. Back in January, we did a series that I felt like God impressed on my heart in the middle of 2019 called Breakthrough. And we said that we felt like 2020 was going to be a year of breakthrough. And here's what's so amazing. It has been. because we were a church of about 400 people in January of 2020. Over the last 8 weeks, we've been reaching about 3,000 people each Sunday. Because of your invitations, because you guys have shared our services, because you're inviting people, because you're being the church, 19 people in the last 4 weeks have accepted Christ online at Hope City. That doesn't count all of the people at Traders Point and Mercy Road and East 91st Street and Northview, all of the churches that are reaching people for Christ, just that we know of at Hope City during our service times. 19 people over the last 4 weeks have accepted Christ. Not only that, guys, over the last 8 weeks, you guys have given $6,000 over and above our regular giving to purchase N95 masks, to provide meals for healthcare workers. You guys have been so generous. Today, like 7 hours ago, my son Isaiah and I, we got to go down to a hospital, and Alex Ingalls, who attends Hope City, she is a physical therapist. And so we took, go ahead, Becca, bring up that picture. We took Chick-fil-A lunch to 30 doctors, nurses, and physical therapists, and we took them 300 N95 masks. That is your generosity. That's you being the church. I just got to be the deliverer of your generosity, right? I just got to snap the picture. But that's you being the church. And so we haven't been closed. You guys have been so generous. Our groups have been meeting. We have about 19 connection groups that meet all over the city, and they have still been meeting all over the city just from their homes. They've been more intentional, and they have been more consistent than ever before. And so as we think about reopening, we're not reopening because we never closed. We may regather together, but we've been open because you guys have continued to be the church. Our 3 C's as a church is celebrate, connect, contribute. And you guys have been celebrating on Sunday mornings to the tune of almost 10 times the amount of people. You've been contributing with your resources. You've been generous. Many of you have never given online before. You moved your giving online. And you're allowing us to resource people who are on the front lines. And we're connecting. And we're connecting over Zoom, which is exhausting and it doesn't always feel fun. But we're doing it and we're being the church.
Our second guiding principle is we want to serve our city well. And one of the best ways to serve our city well is to be cautious and to be kind. It's been amazing, the stories that we've heard already of kindness being an outpouring of generosity. And then there's been some really hard stories in the news of just the opposite. And so we love our city well by first loving the people around us. So in your apartment complex, in your neighborhood, wherever you live, you have the opportunity to be gracious and cautious and kind. So I want to encourage you. We want to lean into the CDC. We want to lean into what our government is asking. We want to go above and beyond so that we are modeling what it means to love our neighbor. And sometimes that's going to be inconvenient. Sometimes it's going to feel frustrating. But I want to just encourage you, like every choice you make in these 5 steps, if you live in Indiana, to get back to, not having restriction is an act of love. It's an act of service. And listen, I'm with you. Today, over the summer, we do these things called Nana Days, where my mother-in-law comes and spends the whole day with my kids. It's amazing. And Nana came because now she can, and she's like in our 10. And so she came and I left, and I've been at the church all day working. It's been amazing. And so I'm with you. I know that feeling of just wanting to get back to routine, but I have to remember that everybody is in a different place. In fact, we were doing an online marriage event for a church, a friend of ours who, I wanted to say plant a church, but he's been the pastor of that church for over 20 years. We've known him for over 20 years. And he shared the story that last week he gathered his staff of about
42 people.
40 people. And they just found out like 2 days ago that their youth pastor has COVID-19. And so he was heartbroken over it. And so we are with you in this. We feel the tension. But again, every time you kind of feel that inconvenience rise up, I want you to remember that it is an act of service of loving your neighbor.
So good. And we are going to have to make numerous adjustments to how we greet one another, if we serve coffee, how we sterilize the building, how we maintain social distance. There's a ton of adjustments that we have to make.
I know you. I kind of think that Justin is excited about this because to know him, you know how much he loves the hand sanitizer. And so I have a feeling.
It's going to be a hand sanitizing heaven up in here.
It's true. It's true.
There's a bottle of hand sanitizer right there.
There is.
So anyway, so that's principle number 2. The final principle that's been guiding us is this. Our mission to help people find hope and follow Jesus is greater than our preferences. As pastors, we want to be with you, right? We want to come back as quickly as possible.
I will say today we had someone come that I don't know him. He's a worker that was going to build something. I've never met this man before. Y'all, I greeted him. I shook his hand. He looked at me like I was crazy. And then I was like, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I have hand sanitizer. I know. So, I mean, we do
You're such a rule follower, too.
I know.
This is really surprising to me. You're confessing in front of all of our Facebook.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm shaking the hand of a person I don't even know. I can't imagine if I saw you in person what I would do. So this is just for your safety as well.
But here's the deal. When we reopen our building, when we regather together in one location, we expect a lot of first-time guests. And for those of you that know Hope City, you know that we have a culture that we've been really protective of and we've been really intentional to build over the last 3 years. We have a way that we want people to experience God. We want to create environments people love so they can experience God's love. And I just got to be honest with you. To have us in here in this room that seats 500 people, 20 people at a time with no kids ministry, no greeters, no first impressions team, no cafe, no real love being exchanged from one person to the other just to sing some songs, that isn't Hope City, right? And so when we reopen our facility, we want to give those of you that call Hope City home the best possible opportunity to extend an invitation to the friend that's been watching with you on Facebook to come and experience God's presence here together. And we just feel like, man, what God has been doing online, we want to continue to lean into that because our mission is to help people find hope and follow Jesus. And one of the ways that we live out that mission is providing a space for you to invite people that you can be proud of, that reflects our vision, our values, and our DNA. And so we don't want to reopen this building if you're not going to be able to bring your kids to church. Your kids' eternity, your kids' spiritual growth are as important to us as you are. And so that is going to be a guiding principle for us. And that's why July is a big month as we kind of look to that to see how schools are going to respond.
So what does that practically look like for us? And we want to chat about May, the month we're in, and chat about June. And to be honest with you, we want to have plans that we're prepared that when we have the green light, we can go full steam ahead. With that said, you all know that it could change. With one announcement, it can change. And so we want to be flexible in that. So for the month of May, we're going to continue to be online only. And
we have some snazzy slides for people.
Oh,
boom.
Bam.
I feel like Vanna White. Hello.
Hey, if you were on Worship Wednesday last week,
disaster.
It's a little bit different. So I'm glad that you're here. But in all seriousness, May, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. And here's what I want to encourage you with. I am saying this to myself. At first, I was grumpy. I'm ready to move on and not be just online. I want to see my people. And I really felt like God was convicting me to say, hold up, I'm doing something in this. Like, there are thousands of people that are coming to Hope City and finding hope, that are going to spend eternity with me. Like, I need to have a different heart about it. And so I want to encourage you to pray for that excitement, that this online isn't something that we have to do. It's something that we get to do. Secondly, May 11th, we are under different, what do we call it?
Guidelines,
Steps. The guideline, maybe step 3, not sure, that you can meet in person. And so we want to give that authority to you. As your small groups, your connection groups, if you feel comfortable in meeting and doing it under the social distancing as the CDC has asked us to, we want you to champion that. Like, we want you to feel free. You can use the church parking lot and do like a picnic and social distance with your car. I want you to continue to be creative in how you meet. And another thing that you can do is you can continue to pray who you can be inviting into your connection group. We are going to spend the month of May every Sunday really pushing people who are new to Hope City, regardless of where they live around the world, to get involved in a connection group. And so our hope is that that will be kind of our guiding excitement for the month of May. In the month of June, what we would love to do is, as the next step happens, whatever that looks like, we want to do something that feels collective, something that we're in it together as a church. And so we thought it would be so much fun to do a study together. And so on May 27th, on a Worship Wednesday, we're going to roll out what that is. We're going to roll out kind of next steps, hopefully for the month of June and July. But our excitement is that we get to do something together as a church, and hopefully with lesser restrictions to be able to meet as a group.
One of the things we also want to encourage you as we move toward June, once we get into June, we'll be able to adjust this if this isn't necessarily safe at this point. But we're hoping by June that we'll be able to create what we're calling micro churches. And that's basically just you worshiping at your house, but instead of it just being you or your family, you're inviting neighbors to come over and worship with you. Or your connection group comes over and you do brunch at 9:30, you watch the 11 o'clock service, or you watch the 9:30 service. I say watch. You participate in the 9:30 service, and then you have brunch at 11. Or we have a new 5 o'clock service. You could worship at the 5 o'clock service together as a connection group or with your neighbors, and then have a cookout. And so really taking the month of June and hopefully gathering in groups of 25, the social distancing guidelines will dictate what that actually looks like. But I was talking to my mom about this as Trisha left us all there. But I was talking to my mom today about this, and I was kind of going over what we were going to share tonight. And she's like, I'm glad you're pushing that to June. She's like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable having someone in my home in May. I just need a little bit more time. And so that was a really good perspective for me to think we're going to all interact with this in a different way. So if you are in a connection group, we want you to have this type of discussion in your connection group, and you sending us the survey that Sarah put in the chat is going to help us make some of these guiding decisions as well. So May 27th, as Trish said, we're going to be here on a Worship Wednesday. We're going to give you the plan for July. That's the plan for May. That's the plan for June. That's what it looks like. We are in no hurry to rush back into services in person because we want to be safe, we want to be cautious, and we want to contribute to the solution and not recontribute to the problem. So here's 3 things as we close that we want to ask of you tonight. The first thing is this: would you please continue to show up online? Would you please, I know that I'm like a broken record, but who knows if one of the 19 people that accepted Christ wasn't from an invitation that you made? Who knows if one of the 19 people that have accepted Christ at Hope City over the last 4 weeks wasn't because you hit the share button or you texted someone? I mean, that's incredible to think about the capacity that we have at the push of a button now. It's never been easier to invite someone to church. And you're not just inviting them to watch songs. You're inviting them to interact with the God of the universe, a God that loves them, that has a plan for their life. And you could be used as a tool in the hand of God to lead people into a relationship with Jesus. All from the comfort of your own home, sitting on your couch, just by sharing. So please continue to show up online. You're going to say something.
The second ask is just for you to get connected, right? If we are just showing up on Sunday morning and then that's it, we're just becoming spectators. There's not transformation that's happening, which happens in the context of connection groups. We're in a couple connection groups, but our couple connection group is, our leaders are Wes and Kelly Coker. We don't lead our group, which is great.
Shout out to the Cokers.
They literally, I feel bad for all of you because they are the best connection group leaders on the planet. And we played, what did we play?
Kahoot, a Bible trivia Kahoot, and we dominated.
We did. I feel like we are
I feel like
pastors.
all the student loans that I paid off actually paid off last Tuesday night.
But our connection group is super kid heavy. We have 1,000 kids in our connection group. And to be honest, we've really enjoyed, we haven't enjoyed being on Zoom. We've enjoyed the amount of connection we've been able to have because our kids are in the background in a different room. And so continue to be creative, continue to invite people in. And if you know someone, you have a family member, a coworker, a friend that you know has been watching on Sunday morning, invite them, encourage them, let them know what connection groups are. And they're literally just a gathering of people to grow in community and grow in your faith. And everybody is at different places. So keep coming, keep showing up, and keep investing in others to get them involved. And I'm really excited for June. I think June's going to be fun. I'm hoping that there are less restrictions, that we can gather in smaller groups and have more connection in the physical space rather than just online. But what a way to prepare for that by staying connected through May.
We have some special events that we're talking about and dreaming about for later on in the summer that we're hoping that the regulations will lessen, and we'll be able to present those to you on May 27th to actually gather even outside of the building just for some social activities, so stay tuned for that. Finally, continue to contribute to our church. I can't tell you how important your generosity has been. One of the things I've been so impressed with is there are several people in our church that have lost jobs, but they are still giving. They are still sacrificing. They are still contributing. Many of you had never given online before. We've had 15 new reoccurring givers in the last 30 days. That's amazing, guys. That you guys have stepped in and you said, you know what, we believe in the mission of Hope City. We believe in what God is doing at Hope City, and we want to contribute to that vision. And so I just want to say thank you for your generosity. We could not be doing this service right now without your generosity. I don't have time to go into the logistics of it, but right now we only have the capacity to either do services in the room or services online. And so as we move throughout the summer and prepare to have online services and in-person services later on in the summer, your generosity is going to be needed to help us purchase additional equipment to allow us to do both simultaneously. I'll give you more information about that, but as you're thinking about being generous this summer and be consistent, summer is typically a low time for churches. And so I just want to encourage you to be consistent and to continue to be generous as we have a mission of helping people find hope and follow Jesus. And maybe for some of you, you've never given to Hope City. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to become what we call a rookie giver. And that's just somebody who crosses that line of faith and says, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to give. I'm going to trust that you're going to use my gift to expand your kingdom and expand this ministry. And so I just want to say thank you guys so much for your contributions. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for celebrating. Thank you for your encouragement. It's been amazing. Before I pray, I want to share this passage of scripture with you that has really guided Trish and I's discussion. There's a passage of scripture in 1 Corinthians where Paul says this: everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And we're choosing to do some things that we could not choose to do legally, right? Legally, we have the right to gather. We could gather 25 people. Legally, theoretically, churches are exempt. Is that really beneficial? Another translation says everything is permissible, but not everything is edifying. And we want to be edifying to people who are far from God. We want to be edifying to the other churches in our community. And most of all, we want to be edifying to you. As we navigate this crisis together, we don't have complete certainty, but we hope that we all together have clarity of where God has been and where God is taking us. So, Trish, you want to close us in prayer, and then Becca's going to lead us in a couple of songs as we close tonight.